Go ahead, introduce yourself, what you do, who you help, all of those good things.
Hey everyone, I'm Jayne. My friends call me JJ. I'm a brand strategist and AI solutionist, which is a term I kind of made up with the help of my AI bestie. Because what I love to do is help entrepreneurs figure out the systems, the strategies, and the ways to implement and utilize AI so that they can do the work that they do faster, more effectively, and make more money in their business. When I'm not playing in the world of AI and coaching my clients, I love to drink iced coffee, regardless of how much snow is on the ground, play with my puppies, and I really truly believe that you can be successful without constantly having to hustle. So I love to slow down and be creative and get crafty and just truly enjoy the life that I've worked so hard to create for myself.
So, how did you get into doing that?
Well, my journey is kind of an interesting one, full of like bits and bobs and twists and turns, but it started for me like the full origin story. Started in 2010 when I moved to Texas. I'm Canadian, but I met an American, fell in love, and decided, meh, yeah, I'm gonna move to Texas for this cowboy. And when I did that, I left my job, I left my family, I left most of my belongings and like moved into his little bachelor house that literally had like no furnishings and was kind of boring, right? So I spent the first like 2 years living in Texas, turning that bachelor pad into a home. And along the way, I was blogging about it. I started a lifestyle blog and I was talking about my recipes and the craft projects and the little things that I was doing and painting wood panel and all of this stuff. And I started building a bit of a following. This is long before like influencers were like a proper term, before you could even really truly make money blogging. I just was doing it because I loved sharing. And then somehow or another, someone was like, "Hey, I have to go on vacation. Can you help me before social media schedulers were a thing? Can you help me share this content that I need to share like while I'm on vacation? I'm not going to have internet access." And I was like, "Sure." Well, that fast forward 6 months became a full-time VA client. So I started doing VA work with my lifestyle blog, and then VA work became social media management. Social media management became running an agency. Running an agency became a six-figure business. But at the same time, my life was kind of falling apart. During COVID, I kind of got illuminated just how unhealthy my relationship and marriage had gotten. And I was putting 60, 70, 80 hours a week into my business, not because it needed it, not because like I was actually doing work, but because I had to stay busy to kind of stay out of, we'll call it target, right? Like my ex was a narcissist, so if I was busy making money, he would leave me alone because he would go spend the money. But if I wasn't working, then I was like fair game, right? So I kind of realized that in the middle of COVID, of course, right? And I'm a Canadian living in America, and I was like, how the heck do I solve this problem? So I had to like bounce from a few friends' houses, but I made it home to Canada in November of 2020 with a couple of suitcases and my laptop and had to start all over again. And I decided that if I was going to start all over again, I was going to do it on my own terms and I was going to do it based on what mattered to me. And I was going to create a life that I was wildly obsessed with and I was not willing to compromise on anything. So to really build that foundation, I had to go deep into what mattered to me, why it mattered, what was important. And I did a lot of work around my core values and started leaning in more into coaching. Except that like coaching didn't fit, right? That term coach didn't really feel good to me. And so I had to like explore and play and it took me, 2 years to really figure out I'm not a coach. I'm a consultant. I'm a strategist. I'm not going to ask you questions that will help you find your own answers. I'm going to ask you questions that will help me help you find the answers, right? And give you a solution, not just homework. There's nothing wrong with coaching. I love coaches. Don't take that the wrong way. But I'm not a coach. I'm not good at asking questions. I'm just going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you how to get to Z, not ask you questions for A, B, C, etc. And so, but I tried really hard to be a coach. I tried to shove myself into that box, and it just didn't work. And along the way, I was playing with AI tools, right? AI tools started really kind of being a thing we could utilize in business about 4 or 5 years ago. And I was playing, I was dabbling, I was exploring, and I fell in love with it. And with my background in social media management and before Texas, I was in marketing and market research. Um, my one of my business besties, who was actually one of the people who helped me get out of Texas, when I was running away, if you will, um, Sharissa was like, "Hey, I have this idea. Do you want to partner with me?" And so for the last 18 months, we've been on this journey with a couple pivots and twists and turns, refining really a program and a business ecosystem that utilizes AI, that utilizes systems and funnels and really clear strategy to help entrepreneurs actually make money in in their business and not just make like, well, that's nice, I'm finally making money, but pay themselves. And Enchantria, which is what we call it, our business ecosystem, has been open since the beginning of January, and we're seeing like really amazing results for the entrepreneurs that are in there because they have a proper funnel in place and they have a proper like marketing system, and they're actually like building a business, not just being like, oh, I should be doing work over here. Oh, no, wait, I have to do this over here. Oh, no, I should be networking. Oh, no, I should be posting on Instagram. They have a strategy and they're working the plan, and the plan is working for them. So that's kind of how I got here. And basically my job now is to just like play with AI and share what's working with our community and stay on top of marketing trends and create amazing content for and with our clients. And it's freaking fun, man. I'm having the best time.
Yeah, that's quite a story. It
It
sounds
is a
like you've been
story.
in this entrepreneur game for a while, and it sounds
Yep.
like you just started networking. You probably never like broke it down to exactly what you were doing in terms of meeting people.
Yeah, for me, kind of the networking piece came into play when I got back from Canada. Like there was in-person networking that I did at like conferences and stuff as a blogger, but there really wasn't like virtual networking opportunities when I still lived in Texas. Not very many. There was like one or two, and I had found one and joined a community, and like that was like I was hungry for connection. When I moved back to Canada, Clubhouse, like January of 2021, Clubhouse was the thing, and that was networking. Like that was a type of networking. And so I was like, this is fun. I like meeting people. I like talking, but like I like talking to people. Um, and I really jumped into that, and then I was like, ooh, virtual networking, and just kind of like fell down this rabbit hole and fell in love with it.
Have you invested in yourself networking groups, coaching, or masterminds? And how has that affected your networking?
I haven't, excuse me, I have invested in networking spaces. There's a couple that I've played with, if you will. And for me, everything is like it's a playground, right? I'm testing and tweaking and seeing what fits me because not everything is a good fit for me. That doesn't mean it's not a great opportunity for other people. Um, I've done low ticket networking investments. I've done high ticket networking investments, and some have been amazing and paid massive dividends, and some have been like, well, that was fun and a waste of a little bit of money, but I made one connection. I met one person. And for me, if I can meet one person and have even a small impact on their life, that is rewarding enough for me. But my best results with networking have come from making sure I'm going to a space where there are people who are clearly ahead of me, not just on the like do at the same level as me, if that makes sense. So because I want to be inspired by people and I want to be able to be pulled forward. But if there's people that are ahead of me, there's also likely people that are behind me in the same space, which are people I can work with. And so but like the point of networking, in my opinion, is not just the people that are in the room, it's the people that they're connected to as well. And so when I started networking in spaces that were more intentional and like used terms like high achieving women and female founders, and not just networking and like not just the fluffy words that we're so used to in entrepreneurship, but they were very strategic and clear in what they were looking for, and who was going to be in the room. I saw a huge shift in the results of my networking energy happening. So that has been the win for me, when it came to investing. That also came with a higher ticket, right? Like that came with a higher ticket price. But it was worth every penny.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it's good to keep in mind that even if you are just getting started, there are free spaces as well.
100%.
So don't let money
Yeah.
stop you from starting.
Yeah. I've had amazing success in free spaces as well. And it has a lot to do with the intention and the goal of who's hosting the space and what they're ultimately creating, right? Because that's really where the energy and the creation of that room starts. So as long as you like vibe with the person who's hosting the space, you're gonna do just fine, whether it's high ticket, free, or anything in between.
Would you say you're more introverted or extroverted, and how does that affect your networking strategies?
Um, you know, I sometimes question whether I'm an ambivert, which is that middle ground, right, where you can be introverted and extrovert, or if I'm just an extrovert who learned how to hermit because I spent 10 years in a tiny town in Texas, right? So I'm because I spent 10 years where I didn't really have in-person, like I didn't have any friends in that small town. Everyone I knew was like from blogging and my social media management agency, like virtually. All my friends are virtual. So I think in some ways, like I am an extrovert, and it's very easy for me to be an extrovert, but I've also learned the value of just being in my own energy and being at peace and being quiet. Um, so I'm an extrovert in networking spaces, in case you couldn't tell when I'm having conversations with people. But I also play off of the energy of whoever's in the room. So if people are a little more quiet and a little more subdued or not as animated, then I like to match energy a little bit. Call it my NLP training, call it like just my natural inclination to sort of like mask and match energy, but I don't want to come off at like a 10 if the room's coming in at a 3, because then could be a little too much. So, but I'm an extrovert. I think um, how that's affected my networking strategies is just I like to observe for at least a few minutes when, especially in a new space, to just kind of get a read for the host, for who's in the room, kind of how animated or how energized people are, and then just like, you know, adjusting, amping things up if I feel like it's a safe place to just be 100% Jennifer, or pulling it back a little bit if the space is a little more chill and there's like hi-fi Jennifer and lo-fi Jennifer, and it depends on the room.
Do you prefer networking in groups or having more of these one-to-one conversations?
That's a tough one for me because I really do love group networking and love meeting like people and having like a larger conversation. But I like going into deeper conversations. So one to one for me always feels more connected and like what's the word I'm looking for? Like more fruits of my reward, right? Like there's more reward to it for me to have like deeper level conversations about real things, real business, real life, real challenges. I don't do opening topics. Like I don't like, oh, how many kids do you have? Like I just go straight into whatever is like causing chaos in my world. Um, there's no cold openings in my my coffee chats. We're just like diving straight in. So for me, it's like 50-50 because I love a good room full of really interesting people and getting to learn quickly about different businesses and who's doing what and connections and collaboration opportunities. But then I love to get off of that and into a one-to-one space where I can have, a good life conversation that maybe we talk business in the middle of that as well.
Would you say getting comfortable being uncomfortable is part of the entrepreneurial skill set?
100%. 100%. Um, my boyfriend often jokes he's on the spectrum, and one of his favorite things to say is "we fear change." And while that can be somewhat true, right? Change is uncomfortable. Um, nobody ever, got to new lands by staying on the shore, right? You have to step off of that pier, get on the boat and go through the unknown to really experience what networking has to offer, and what entrepreneurship has to offer you, if you only ever do what feels safe and comfortable, chances are you're going to really have a very big barrier on your capacity to grow and to learn and to earn money. And it's gonna keep you playing small.
How do you, how have you set time boundaries in your relationships so that you don't fall into people pleasing and can focus on the relationships that benefit you the most?
This one's a bit of a challenge for me because I am what I call a recovering people pleaser. I'm not perfect at it. We're still in recovery. But for me, I've learned that in order for me to live the life that I said I was not going to compromise on 5 years ago when I left Texas, and to live the life that I promised myself was on the other side of that really rocky period of my life, I have to be comfortable with people thinking I'm selfish. And I'm not selfish, I'm holding my boundaries. Boundaries are self-respect. And in the process of that, I'm also learning to not care as much about pe other people's opinions because, it's a bit of a cliche, but people don't actually think about us as much as we think about them thinking about us. Um, and I'm constantly reminding myself, like when I watch someone's video or have a conversation with them or network with them or see their content, I'm not picking apart their outfit or judging them because they have garbage in the background of their room or their kids are being chaotic. Like I'm not thinking about any of those things. So why would someone else think about those things when they look at me or listen to me or watch my content? But it's a continual reminder because that people pleasing, that desire to be like perfect that was like ingrained in me as a child, is it can be really prevalent. And allowing me to focus on those boundaries, allowing me to focus on the relationships that have the biggest impact means I have space for the people that are going to have the biggest impact. I have mental and like health bandwidth because I also have a chronic health challenge that likes to like make things awkward and crazy sometimes. So honoring those things and holding space for what I know are the needle movers in my business allows me to like create opportunities in the gaps, that don't feel overwhelming, that don't feel like I'm too much or it's too much or any of those things. And then I've also really developed a better boundary around honoring my physical well-being in that like if I'm not well, I'm going to cancel calls. There was a time in my life where I wouldn't do that. I would show up snotty, dying, right? Like just like on death's door, but I would show up because it was like, nope, I made a commitment. I have to show up. But if I'm not showing up as the best version of me, I'm not really like what's the point of showing up, right? Not like you should just cancel and not show up for things, but like I ask for grace and I ask to reschedule when it's required because like if I can't show up as the best version of me, I'm doing the host, I'm doing myself, I'm doing whoever I'm supposed to have a conversation with a disservice and wasting their time. So holding that boundary or learning to create that boundary and hold that boundary for myself has been a bit of a game changer. And that's only happened in like the last 3 years, and it's still a little bit hard for me. Because like my dad was a if you make a commitment, you show up and you don't just show up on time, you show up 10 minutes early kind of dad. So that's like kind of, in there pretty good.
Yeah, I've done that. I realized, oh, I don't want to show up if I'm like really sick. But then there's kind of like, and obviously if I'm well, I want to show up and not let like emotions or not
Yeah.
being uncomfortable. But then there's kind of that in between space. Like I was coming down with a little bit of a cold, but I said, you know what? I do feel up to it today. I'm going to show up. But then after I did those interviews and stuff, I took a nap. I said,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. And I mean, there's something really important about learning to listen so that our bodies don't have to scream at us, right? Like if we can listen to the whispers and like the lower level, like, hey, take a nap, then we don't have to, our bodies don't have to scream at us and push us towards actual burnout. Um, which is something I've done a couple times. It's not fun.
Yeah, I've seen people ruin their health from overwork. So I vowed to never do it, and I have kept that promise to myself my entire life, which is Not something it seems like a lot of people can say. So,
No, good. That is definitely an accomplishment you should be proud of for sure.
what type of collaborations have you done and how has that evolved over time?
Oh man, I love collaborations. Collaborations is kind of like the main purpose of the Facebook space that I've developed for female entrepreneurs. It's 99% about collaboration opportunities. For me, collaboration started when I was blogging and doing my lifestyle blogging. We used to do blog swaps. We used to do like button swaps where we would like put someone else's logo that was clickable in like the sidebar of our blog. We're talking like 2010, 2000 like 2010, 2000 like 14, 15. Like this was really popular. I would write articles for other people's websites and then they would write an article for mine or like, like a craft post or a recipe or something like that. I've done, Facebook live swaps. I've done so many podcast episodes, done a couple of like YouTube recordings for other people, written for other websites and like female entrepreneur associations. If it's an opportunity, I've probably tried it because I love trying new things. I love exploring opportunities to get in front of new audiences and like, but also like, swap audiences, if you will. Um, One of my favorite things to do is I just launched my own podcast, so I'm finally in a position to like ask people who've had me on their podcast to come be on mine. I've always, played nicely and made sure to like really promote any episode that I've been on, but now I get to be like, hey, remember when you had me on your podcast 3 years ago? Do you want to come be on my podcast? Which feels like I'm like, yay, it's finally that time. Um, but my favorite types of collaborations are probably written content, right? My heart and soul always goes back to written content because of my origin of being a blogger and telling stories through words and photos sometimes. And there's so much power in long form content, and I could definitely go on a rant about long form content. I won't. But it should be a key part of any sort of marketing or content strategy you're developing because that long form content has long term implications for what you're creating in your business. Whereas social media is a flash in the pan compared to the content that you put on your blog. I make money from my lifestyle blog and I haven't written new original blog posts or recipes or like crafts in over 5 years. But every year I probably make about ten to $12,000 from my lifestyle blog because it still just exists and I wrote good content back in the day, right? I started writing, stopped writing there roughly around 2019, 2020, somewhere in kind of that middle ground. Um, but I still make good money from it because I put effort into long-term content. So that's just a little pro tip from me.
Yeah, that's quite a tip. I know a lot of people couldn't figure out how to monetize their blogs, and
Yeah.
I did blogging too back in the day, but I had never figured out how to monetize it. So,
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to monetizing your blog, there's a couple avenues. One being like affiliates, one being an ad network, which has certain requirements for traffic for them to like invest in you. I lucked out. I had a post about DIY gifts for men go viral in 2015. And in a very short amount of time, I w went from like a couple thousand views a month to 40, 50, 60,000 views over the holiday season. And that qualified me to get into an ad revenue network, which is how I still consistently make revenue there without trying too hard. And my affiliate links are still valid. I go back and update them every so often. But my favorite way to recommend that people monetize their blog now is to sell their own stuff. Like you should be pitching and selling your own products and services and offers in your own content. And one of the easiest ways to do that is just create yourself a little ad banner that you can stick in anywhere you want in the middle of a blog post that just is pretty and like clickable and people can click on it and be taken to a $7 product or your community, your Facebook group, like anything that will move them along in your customer journey. It's a really quick and easy way, especially if you're getting search results from Google. People are searching for something and they're reading your content. You can take them from who is this person? Oh, they're actually an expert at this, and oh, and they can solve my problem. Click to buy, really, really quickly.
how do you feel about the DMs on Facebook? Love them, hate them? You have a specific way you use them?
I have a love-hate relationship with DMs, not because I don't see the value in them, but because I have ADHD and I find them distracting. Um, the way I have to do things to help my brain follow through and actually remember things is I can't open something until I can actually finish it, right? So like if I have a DM on Instagram, I know I have a DM and I have a pretty good idea of what it is because I saw the little like preview pop up. But if I'm in the middle of doing other work, I can't stop to answer your question because I'm gonna or read the message. I'm gonna forget about it if I can't like finish or answer you or give you the link or whatever. So un notifications on my phone drive me crazy. I know it's weird. I'm one of those people where like everything has to be like inbox zero. It's just how my brain works. So DMs. I want to answer everyone right away, but like I also can't stop what I'm doing to like answer you. But if I look at it, it disappears and it will leave my brain. I won't remember to message you back. So I hate them from an ADHD, my brain is weird standpoint. I love them for continuing the relationship and having engaging conversations. I just wish there was a way to like mark Instagram notifications back as unread, like I do with my inbox. I do it with my inbox. I can't do it with DM messages. Maybe you can do it on Facebook. I'm not even sure. But if you're waiting for a DM response from me and you're watching this, just know that I love you and I will get to you as soon as I possibly have the time bandwidth and the brain bandwidth.
Yeah. How have you felt about the spam DMs? Because I know that's been very contentious.
Um, as long as you're not rude or calling me fat, I'm just gonna be like, "Meh, whatever." Sometimes if you the ones that are just like, do you need a VA? No, maybe you should read what I do. Like just read my profile before you send me a pitch. If you pitched me something clever, something useful, something smart, I might actually like go down that rabbit hole a bit with you. But I've had people straight up just being like, "You're overweight. You should join my weight loss program." And I'm like, "Excuse the hell out of you. That's rude. Like, don't come into my DMs and be rude to me." Um, I know that it does work for some people. They're playing the numbers game, right? They're if you send out X number of messages, eventually someone will respond. I think there are better ways to invest your time and energy. I really do. I just don't answer. I just delete them. I just do. Like I don't dislike you if you cold DM me. I don't like you. You haven't done anything to develop trust or interest me in any sort of service you have. If you actually took the time to talk to me as a human and build a relationship with me and make a comment on my profile of, you cute dog or oh my gosh, so much snow or I drink iced coffee too, any of those things, build a relationship with me. Let me recognize your name and then send me a message. So I'm like, "Oh, this person, okay, all right, they're trying to be my friend." Instead of just being like, "We can set appointments for you or make sales calls." Like, come on, man. I can make my own phone calls. It's fine. Don't love it, don't hate it. I would feel better if I wasn't spending the extra 30 seconds to delete you. I won't block you though, unless you're a butt about it. If you're a butt about it, I'll definitely block you, but I'm very neutral. I'm like, oh, seriously, there's better ways to do this. But I also don't, you've done nothing to make me care enough to tell you that there are better ways to do this. I'm just not going to answer. Sorry.
What are your thoughts on tapping into your intuition when networking?
I think your intuition when you're networking and running your business in general is invaluable. The faster you learn to actually trust and listen to your intuition in business and in any sort of relationship building activity, especially in networking, the more money you will save yourself and the more heartache you will avoid. I have ignored my intuition and it's cost me tens of thousands of dollars by hiring the wrong coach, by investing in the wrong spaces, by spending hours and days and trying to just like me. I just want you to like me. Because I didn't listen to my intuition and I didn't trust my hit, right? I think the biggest benefit for networking, whether it's in person or virtual, is you get the opportunity to do a vibe check really quick. And I've had people be like, "Oh my God, I love your energy. You're so cool." And like get up all in my DMs and we have the best conversations and like we're instant best friends. And I've had people who I can tell by the look on their face, I am not for them. And I am 100% okay with it. But does that mean I'm gonna go like hunt them down afterwards and like try to like be their new best friend and make them love me? No, I don't need to. Because if I'm not for them, they're not for me. And trusting that the right people at the right time are going to show up in my world and I'll know it because my intuition and my gut's going to tell me is like absolutely key. And I'm a manifesting generator, and one of the things I've learned about human design and my specific manifesting generator numbers and doohickeys and all of the fancy bits and bobs that come with it is I'm meant to respond, right? Like I know um when things are right, when things click, like I know in an instant and I'm meant to like just follow through on that. So I've learned to really trust that because anytime I've ignored it, I have caused myself problems and attached myself to people that don't operate from the same core values I do from a place of integrity that I require. Um, and it's cost me time, it's cost me money, and it's cost me a lot of stress. And it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Any closing remarks or things that you want to add?
I am an open book, so if you have any questions about anything I said today or you want to challenge me on anything, I am open to discourse about it. I love having real conversations, even if we have differing opinions on something. And I'd also love to invite you to a workshop I have coming up on March the 12th. We're doing a workshop called Your AI Treasure Map, and we're mapping your fast path to revenue using AI and clarity strategies that we've developed inside Enchantria. And we're super excited about this one because it's combining two of our favorite things, helping entrepreneurs get paid and AI. And it's going to be a good time. It's a 3 hour workshop. It's totally free. But by the end of that workshop, you will actually have your treasure map built out that you can follow through on. And our goal is for you to be making money by the weekend.
Thanks so much for sharing. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you so much for having me, Lori. I really appreciate this.
I appreciate having you as well.